This is Biker Dad, brought to you by Garza Law, your motorcycle attorney, the National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers, and Thunder Roads Magazine of Tennessee and Kentucky. Hi, my name is Chris Best, and I left my 25-year corporate career to ride motorcycles and tell stories. And this week, that adventure brings me to Atlanta. You might be asking yourself, why, pray tell, are you riding a motorbike in a suit in the balmy weather of Atlanta, Georgia? There's a very good reason for that. Let's matriculate, and I shall tell you. That's where we start this week's episode of the Biker Dad TV show. Have you ever sat at your job and thought, what if I just got up and left? Tell that horrible boss to take this job and shove it. Have you ever wanted to just walk out? What about burnout? Well, that's exactly what I did, but I didn't just quit. I left my 25-year corporate career to ride motorcycles and tell your story. Daytona Beach, Florida, where you can actually drive onto the beach. Rick Fairless, a legend of his own, introduced me to Richard Rollins, Mayfield, Kentucky, Southeast Missouri, beautiful city of Knoxville, Tennessee, Gulf Coast of Mississippi, Florida coast in the Tampa Bay area, Orange County Choppers, Roadhouse and Museum, talking to Paul Tuttle Sr. himself. But make no mistake, this is not a show about motorcycles or even about me. Instead, I travel across the country to meet the people who use their passion for motorcycles to make their communities stronger, safer, and better. This is Biker Dad. Here we are. We start the Biker Dad TV show in Atlanta, all suited up here. So why are we suited up? It's for a good cause, and we're going to find out what that cause is. But first, I need to get my bike here, and instead of riding a Harley, I'm riding my little DRZ 400, and I have a unique way of bringing it and my entire family 400 miles from Alabama to Atlanta. And there's one other thing I got to do too. I need a haircut, and fortunately I can get one right over there.
My name is Narek, Jack & Sons Barbershop. We got 3 locations, Roswell, Johns Creek, and Cumming. I love coming to events like this. I got a 1953 International Harvester. Decided to put a barber chair on the back of it and start cutting hair.
Good thing was doing it so you can drive away and it all
Exactly.
flies up the back of the truck.
It's on someone's windshield.
I like the Jack Daniel's spray bottle here.
My name's Michael Mobies from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a injury attorney, so I help disabled veterans with their VA disability appeals, and I help injured workers and riders. Today was the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, and I have one of the stickers on my helmet, actually. This is my 2nd year doing this, and it raises money and awareness for men's health, specifically mental health, which in my practice, I would say the #1 ailment, for lack of a better word, for which I'm filing a VA disability appeal is PTSD or psychiatric disorders caused by either military sexual trauma or just combat. I have a Harley Road King Special right here, 2022, although it looks like it's from 1942. I'm a 3rd-generation combat vet, and I just sort of love the story of how a lot of the motorcycle culture in America started after World War II when Harley and Indian made all the bikes, that were used by the service. So, and then they brought them back, started riding them.
I'm Deborah Mobies, Atlanta, Georgia, on my Vespa 300 GTS. Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, Movember supports them, but I really like the work they do for men's mental health and building awareness for that and sort of reducing the stigma. No, the closest I've ever been was on the back. So I've never actually ridden my own ride in a big ride. It was good, it was intimidating. I mean, it's a lot of bikes, right? But everybody's really considerate and respectful, and the speed is not too high. So it was comfortable and really fun and relaxed.
It was fun. It also was a little concerning because she's a pretty novice rider. I mean, I haven't been riding that many years, but she's been riding fewer. So I was concerned about her well-being and spent a lot of time looking in the side mirror. But I love that she came and did it with us this year. You realize how bad Atlanta roads are, though, when you're on 2 wheels, because there are potholes and manhole covers everywhere.
I think that men are less likely to ask for mental health services. They're less likely to go to the doctor if something feels off or feels wrong. And there really has been a message for a long time that if you are unwell, you are weak. And that can't be true because everyone is unwell sometimes. So I like the idea that there's such an association with motorcycles and with riding of strength and American freedom and independence, and associating that with seeking out healthcare makes a lot of sense to me and helps to build men's willingness to do it.
Well, it's funny, I told Deborah before we rode, like, you're about to be on camera more than maybe you ever have in your whole life, because everywhere we went, there were motorists or pedestrians recording us with their phones or talking or waving at us. So I think it does a great job of raising awareness, because people are going to go on Atlanta Scoops Instagram or, you know, look to Twitter to figure out, like, why were there hundreds of motorcycle riders on a Sunday morning going through Atlanta? So I think that's cool. I think it's a great way to raise awareness, because they're going to want, and why are they dressed up? You know, like, instead of wearing leather, we're in ties and sport coats today. So it's just it's a cool idea to raise awareness.
Don't have scared of me, just wait.
Bart Cushman, and I'm one of the ride hosts for the Atlanta Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. So the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride is a worldwide charity motorcycle ride event, and it raises money for men's health issues, specifically men's mental health and men's prostate cancer. The ride host team gets together about around January every year. And we have to go and select a venue, we have to find sponsors, we have to identify, you know, like different prizes and things like that, and you know, market the ride for the city and basically get everybody collected together and to have a good ride today. It's a little bit different than most other motorcycle charity rides because you know, people typically have a, you know, motorcyclists kind of have a stigma a little bit. Either you're, you know, sort of like sport bike rider and you know, tearing up and down the interstate, or you're riding a Harley and you know, you're all decked out in leather, but there's sort of an in-between demographic as well for motorcyclists. And so this is really to show people that not every motorcycle rider is the same, and you know, some of us ride some classic motorcycles as well. Every kind of bike is here. Really, it's focused on vintage and vintage-inspired bikes. Triumphs, Moto Guzzis, you know, Nortons, anything that kind of like looks old or is old. But yeah, you know, we have all kinds of bikes here today. I'm riding a Triumph Scrambler 1200 XE. We have 300 people registered. We think that we're probably going to have 225 ride today. We're one of the biggest I think we're the 5th biggest in the US right now. I think the most important thing, we raised $60,000 already for men's mental health and prostate cancer. So
This whole thing is about men's mental and physical health. Check on the men in your life, especially the veterans and especially those people who still may be isolated during COVID. You never know, you might save somebody's life. Hey, you can ride motorcycles and get paid just like me, Biker Dad, believe it or not. My friends, Garza Law Firm, your motorcycle attorneys, are looking for brand ambassadors in Tennessee and Kentucky. So just as the riding season is ramped up, if you want to hit the roads to bring awareness, make our roads more safe, and fight for justice for bikers, hit me up and I'll let you know how to get involved with Garza Law's Brand Ambassador Program.
I was coming home, I had a flat tire. Well, the local authorities proceeded to ask me some questions, and then that led to my arrest. There were some facts that needed to be presented that could help me with my case. I was exonerated. I would contribute that to Mr. Garza and his staff's efforts. He assured me that he would do all within his power to assist me in seeing this through.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Hi there, this is Chris Best, the Biker Dad. I'm just here to let you know that myself and the hundreds of thousands of people who follow us on social media and watch the TV show are here to help. Do you need help with something? Give me a call. That's my number right there, 251-402-6392. Especially if you need legal help, I have an army of lawyers across the country who can help you with injuries after motorcycle crashes especially, but other stuff like crime and everything else too. So give me a call, 251-402-6392.
Out of nowhere came a car at an intersection, and I basically just remember a blur and the noise. Basically just thankful I was still alive. After working with the firm, they have more than exceeded our expectations. Answered every question, no matter what, and kept our minds at ease, and we knew everything was going to be okay.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
at one of these big events, I'm on one of my Harleys, but this is a unique opportunity to test out my new to me, but old Suzuki DRZ 400 dual sport motorcycle. But first I had to get it here, and I found a unique way to do that. At the time when I hit the road for a motorcycle event, I ride the motorcycle, but occasionally I do need to transport one. Usually that is in my Ram 1500 truck, but unfortunately, recently I wrecked that thing and it's at the body shop to see if it's totaled or we're gonna get it back. But until then, I had to come up with a new solution because I'm on my way to the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride in Atlanta, Georgia, and we're gonna turn it into a little family weekend vacation as well because there's a lot of stuff to do in Atlanta, and I'm not gonna ride one of my big Harleys. I'm gonna ride the little DR650 Suzuki I just picked up recently, which is a ton of fun. So how am I gonna get it there and the whole family? I picked up the Harbor Freight motorcycle carrier that attaches to your hitch today, and now I gotta take it out of the truck, out of the SUV. The box barely fit in there, and pull it out and put it together. And so I decided, hey, I'll make a video and see what that is like and see how easy it is to put together. So here we go. This is the 600-pound limit version, so it's a little bit heavier than what you would expect with the 400-pound limit one. All right, first things first, get this thing opened up. I'm gonna get a razor knife or something to pretty much everything laid out. That's gonna go into the hitch carrier, the hitch receiver right there, and should fit right in there. If it's any 2-inch receiver, it says. My little DR400 right there, that's the bike that we're gonna be carrying this with, and my daughter's XR100 that we'll probably also be using for it. Read all the instructions first, as they say. Okay, it says the first thing we're gonna do is connect the hitch tube to the carrier frame. The next step is attaching the wheel chock to the frame, and it appears that it goes like this. So the DRZ that we're going to be transporting has a 17-inch wheel. I measured it back. This is 17 inches from the front of the lip. So hopefully that's what that means. Popsicle brake. Okay, there's one last thing we got to do before we actually mount this to the hitch receiver, and that is to install this stabilizer plate. That kind of keeps the bike from moving around so much. Okay, so we got the Harbor Freight motorcycle carrier all put together and assembled, and now it's time to attach it to the hitch receiver. It's probably supposed to be a one-man job, but it's hot as out here. And I got a 17-year-old son, so he's gonna help me lift this thing up and get it in there. All right, that wraps back the family truckster. Now we're on our way to Atlanta to see. All right, as you can see, we made it just fine here to Atlanta. It's a foggy morning, got the DRZ 400 here, nice and safe, and no real issues with the Harbor Freight motorcycle carrier, except for maybe my strapping wasn't perfect, but I worked that out and it worked out just great. So no real issues. I did have to put a new battery on the bike because the one I got from Cycle Gear was junk, and they gave me a new one. It was also missing the screws, so I had to engineer my way around that. But we got it all started up, and we're ready to go with Old Blue here. Our Back on 2 segment is brought to you by Garza Law and the National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers.
Okay, got it released? All right.
No, she has, her spine is nice and straight. Bend the opposite knee and put his foot flat on the floor. Hi, this is Vicki Sanfilippo. I am the director and the founder of Accident Scene Management. On this opposite knee, putting his foot flat on the ground. With Accident Scene Management, we teach motorcyclists what to do at the scene of a crash until professional help arrives. It's called a crash course for the motorcyclists, but we don't teach people how to crash. We teach them how to help each other. I'm a nurse, and as a nurse who rides a motorcycle, everybody thought I knew what to do to help somebody, but actually that wasn't the case. I wasn't taught motorcycle trauma in nursing school, so as I figured out what I would do to help my friends, I decided to create a class so they could help me. You know, I wasn't initially planning on taking this on the road or anything. I was just going to get 30 of my friends together and tell them what to do to help me. And it just turned into something I never expected. People started hearing about it and asking. So that was 27 years ago that I initiated this program, and now we've trained over 40,000 people, have instructors in 32 states and 4 countries. About 1/3 of our students help people. So we've heard a lot of stories of people being helped, not always where they would have died without the help, but there are those stories as well. I think what surprises people the most is how much they learn. People who come in that have CPR training, listening for air coming through their mouth and nose, and have first aid training, they wonder if they're really going to learn very much. They're here because they want to learn helmet removal. I think that's the biggest reason.
And in position holding.
Make sure you hold them up there good.
Good.
You're going to have to help with this hand to pull up. That's right.
And when they get here, they find out that there's so much more to it, and that it's really a huge learning curve, but it also teaches them specifically about motorcycle trauma. Everything from start to finish, from how to control traffic to how to put a tourniquet on. I think the thing that is really different about motorcycle trauma is probably our protective gear. A lot of people don't know is if you see this red tab here, what that's for is you can take that and you can wiggle it back and forth, and that's going to release the strap and our exposure to the elements. So we're talking more about speeds, we're talking about dealing with outdoor elements, we're talking about other traffic that gets involved. When it comes to treatment, it's not that different than any other trauma. This trauma treatment can be used for anybody, but because we are talking about wind chill, because we are talking about helmet removal. The National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers, I've been working with them for a number of years now. I really have appreciated with them how they mentor each other, how they work together, how they are vetted, and they're kind of like top of the line people who are stepping up their game, who really want to get into helping the motorcycle community.
Biker Dads brought to you by Garza Law and the National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers.
I'm Marcos Garza of the Garza Law Firm. You know, the thing I like so much about serving the motorcycle community through the law is, I suppose, first of all, I've always rooted for the underdog. That's just kind of how I'm made. I do some criminal defense work, I do a lot of personal injury work, and typically you represent those folks who need help the most. You know, if you work for a big company or corporation, you probably met a lawyer down at some country club or something like that somewhere, but I get the pleasure of representing individuals. And the thing that's awesome about the motorcycle community especially is that you kind of have the same camaraderie, or the same feel of camaraderie that I experienced in the Marine Corps. And there are parts of me that still miss the Marine Corps. I was a Marine Corps judge advocate or JAG attorney for them for several years, and that kind of selfless service that you surround yourself with whenever you're around other people who signed up to be the tip of the spear or signed up to potentially be in harm's way kind of creates a fantastic organization.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And if you spend any time with the motorcycle community, it kind of feels like a group of Marines, right? Well, and a lot of them are, or they're other service members, and you have a certain amount of kind of self-selection of selflessness.
Hi,
Hi, this is Chris Best, the Biker Dad. Unfortunately, I've never had a serious motorcycle crash in my life, but I know if I do, Marcos Garza and the Garza Law Firm have my back. So thank you for looking out for bikers. Appreciate it.
This is Biker Dad.
I've never had a serious motorcycle accident, but I know if I do, April Violet and Marcos Garza with Garza Law have got my back.
Hi, I'm Ann Zuby from Stilettos on Steel. Stilettos on Steel is an all-female riding group. We kind of started out of the idea of mentoring other women that were starting riding, and we started in Wisconsin, Madison, our capital, a few girls, and decided that we would get a few girls together. It kind of started out as a Facebook group, and we decided that there needed to be a little more organization to it. So I decided to kind of make a business out of it and start chapters. And from there we started to spread. So we started in Wisconsin, then we went to Michigan, Florida, New York, and so on and so forth. We're in 25 states. We have women that volunteer their time, very similar to like a Ladies of Hog or a Hog group, where we have chapters and the girls mentor other women. So you come into the group, you connect with other lady riders, and you have an opportunity to hone your skill, which is really fun. We don't fundraise, we don't do poker runs, we don't do bar to bar, we do everything else. We're helping women be strong, smart, safe street riders. And when you see a stiletto on the road, you'll know that they know what they're doing, they know how to ride, they know how to be respectful. These are all licensed women that own their own bikes, that get together, have a great time, and do it safely. We're having our annual meet and greet. We do it at the Iron Horse, usually every year. And it just is a nice opportunity to have some fun, silly times. Get endorsed, start there. Go get your endorsement, go to a garage night party, come to a Stilettos meet and greet. Just get started. I bought a pair of boots before I ever got endorsed or before I ever bought a bike. And after I had the boots, I was like, I gotta get a bike. I gotta learn how to ride because like these boots are really cool, and I know I'm cool, so I want to have a cool bike. Get the bike, learn how to ride, and then find a group of women that are like-minded that you can have some great times with. Because I think that that's how you really learn and grow. For women just starting, find a group, find a Stilettos group, and get connected, and we'll take you from there. I promise.
I'm Nina. I'm regional coordinator at Capital District, New York, Stilettos on Steel. Yeah, Capital District, New York, we got about 16 members. New York altogether has probably got about 50-ish. So we're growing. We're still one of the smaller ones. I moved up to New York about 3 years ago, had nobody to ride with, and actually this group last year in 2021 when they were riding down Main Street and said, hey, seems like a pretty good group to hook up with. Exact sisterhood. I mean, I had no friends. Moving up, I left Jersey, went up there, knew nobody, and then found a good group of women to actually support me and ride with, and it's great. The bike scene is all dudes. It's nice to have some women who can actually ride with it, get it. Get on and do it. They hold themselves up. Once you pick them up, keep them moving, you're good.
You can't talk about motorcycles in Tennessee without talking about rags South Clinton Highway. My friend April Violet just had Jeff and Payne. They've been gearing up riders and motorcycle communities. Bahana was on the charts. Come check out Biker Rags. Gear, apparel, beautiful vintage bikes from the base. You can touch it. Check out their free swap. BikerRags.com.
The reason you wouldn't try to handle a motor vehicle accident on your own is because the goal of an insurance adjuster is to pay as little of the company's money as possible. Once a person turns an attorney, the other side then knows that they cannot be taken advantage of. At the Garza Law Firm, after your motor vehicle accident, we want to meet with you as soon as possible. We're here to shoulder your burden while we maximize your recovery.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help. Let us help.
Hi there, this is Chris Best of Biker Dad. Just here to let you know that myself and the hundreds of thousands of people who follow us on social media and watch the TV show are here to help. Do you need help with something? Give me a call. Give me a call. Right there, 251-402-6392. Especially if you need legal help. I have an army of lawyers across the country with help you with injuries, motorcycle crashes, but stuff like crime and everything else. Give me a call. 515-402-6392. Hey, you can ride motorcycles and get paid just like Biker Dad, believe it or not. My friends, Garza Law Firm, your motorcycle attorneys are looking for brand ambassadors in Tennessee and Kentucky. So just as the riding season is ramped up, hit the roads to bring awareness, make our roads more safe, fight for justice for bikers. Hit me up and I'll let you know how to get involved with Garza Law's Brand Ambassador Program. Like what? The helmet? Yeah, those helmets look like mushroom heads. That's why I don't want them. Your first ride, so you're gonna realize it. But when the wind is like, that's not every day. I mean, that was like there's like 40-mile-an-hour gusts today, so and it was a crosswind, so it was knocking us sideways a little bit, right? And it's like it's a forewind, they'll hit you in the face, and it's not a big deal. And if it's in the backwind, it'll push you and actually help you go along the road a little bit. But this was a crosswind, so it was making the bike go. And so when we went past that fountain that was in the neighborhood, it was like a waterfall.
I didn't notice the wind. I thought this is just how it was going past.
No, that's what you learn. Hey, at least now you're like next time you're gonna argue and try not to run it down. That's bad. Okay, passenger gets off first.
Oh.
Exit to the left.
Right.
All right, thank you, Alex. It was awesome. That's it for this week's episode of the Biker Dad TV show, coming to you from hot Atlanta. A little sweaty in my suit, but it was a fantastic ride, and really the weather was pretty darn good for Atlanta in May. Again, this whole thing is about men's mental and physical health. Check on the men in your life, especially the veterans and especially those people who still may be isolated during COVID. You never know, you might save somebody's life. Until next time, please look twice for motorcycles.